The following is an exclusive presentation of WI Garden Media, the voice of Garden Talk Radio.
Coming up on the program today, we're going to discuss common plant diseases in your vegetable garden, as well as how important is companion planting. Our guest is author Matt Mattus will be with us, and we'll answer your garden questions. The hour is full, so join us.
You are listening to the most informationally packed hour of garden-focused radio in the country and on the internet with your host, husband and wife team Joey and Holly Baird. This is the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. And welcome, my friends, to another edition of the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. Happy to have you today and allowing us to be part of your world for a little bit. I'm your host, Joey Baird. Beside me is my wife, co-host, best friend, and gardening partner,
Holly Baird.
This program is for you, about you, to help your garden grow better, to maintain your landscape, grow healthier trees, make your grass look greener, as well as preserving what you grow. Happy you're tuning in, whether you're listening to us on one of the 20 AM and FM frequencies broadcasting our program here in 2025, through a radio app, through our parent website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com, underneath the Season 9 tab at the top of the page, podcast replay, or in-studio video replay. Thank you so much for being part of the program. If you would like to be more involved in the program, in addition to listening, you can send us an email with your questions to gardentalkradio@gmail.com, gardentalkradio@gmail.com. You can also give us a call anytime to 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. If you can't get to us, leave a message. We will call you back. Well, Holly, before we get into the program, it's time for this week's Joke of the Week.
Yes. So why couldn't the flower ride a bike?
I'm going to say something to do with its petals. Something to do with the petal?
Because he lost his petals.
That's sad.
It is sad. This week's garden joke is brought to you by Rescue.com. American-made rescue products keep your family, home, and yard protected from pests like insects, wasps, hornets, yellow jackets, flies, ants, and more. Learn more at Rescue.com. That's RESCUE.com. So we're going to talk about some diseases.
Common plant diseases you'll face in your vegetable garden, or you'll see in your vegetable garden. We do common because we could go down a rabbit hole of a 2-hour program and get into some things that are very devastating to your garden, but may not be the most realistic in your particular area. So these are more of a generalization of, we've got people listening from Denver to Maine and anywhere in between. So we're going to kind of go over some of these here.
Now, these are ones that are going to be within the more northern, not more northern, but like...
Well, anybody can face these
Anybody
problems.
can face these. But if you do have a garden problem, I would highly suggest looking for University Extension answer. I mean, obviously you can reach out to us as well, but if you do have a garden pest problem, please send a picture. But yeah, so you want to check the University Extensions because they have
this is what they do.
Yeah. So the first one,
we can direct you in that way, but they can say, oh yeah, in this area, in your county, this is what we've seen in the last 5 to 10 years, and here's the time in which it's been coming through.
Yeah, and they're going to tell you how to deal with it, and then also how to prevent it in the future. So the first one, we talk about this, I don't know, quite frequently, I'd say, is powdery mildew, because it is a common problem, disease, and it's just a result of cool evenings, cool nights, but warmth during the day with high humidity.
Or moisture gathering on the leaves, whether by nature or by you. And when you add water in those conditions, mildew is going to exist, like your bathroom type of situation. You're going to have mildew developing. The mildew on these plants, it looks like baby powder. You touch it, you're going to get powder on it. It is suffocating the plant and preventing photosynthesis on the plant. So if you do see it, there are many ways in which you can slow it down online that are natural. You can also remove leaves up to 25% of the plant in order to rid it from your plant if you do see it. And if you do that cutting it off the plant by removing limbs or leaves. Put them in a bag prior to taking them out of your garden, because these are spores that will fall on other things. This is prominent in spaghetti, in squashes, in watermelons, beans, grapes, cucumbers are all susceptible to powdery mildew.
Right. Yeah. So you want to look out for it, and then as soon as you see it, you want to do something about it. And sometimes it's only one plant.
Yes.
Yeah. So then we have tomato blossom end rot. Now, this is technically not a disease, but it was on a lot of the common disease list because it looks like a disease. And it's when you go to pick your first tomatoes of the season, you have this beautiful tomato, and then you look at the bottom end, which is the blossom end, and it's all black and brown and kind of gross looking.
Well, real quick on the powdery mildew, you want to make sure you can identify it, because there is difference between powdery mildew and downy mildew, and they're fungal diseases, so not always one is resolved by the same methods as the previous.
Good point. Yeah, so anyway, so blossom end rot is a result of a lack of access to calcium for the plant from your soil. There's a common myth that you can fix it with Epsom salt. That's not true. What happens to most people is you plant your tomatoes in end of May, early June, and we usually have some rain. Most climates have some rain. And then by the time your plant is fruiting, there's not so much rain in the season, and the plants don't have access to the calcium in the soil. So then you add something to the soil and you water it in, and it gets rid of the problem. And you think, oh, it's because I added XYZ to the soil. And that's not true. It's because you watered the plants and the water got access to the calcium again.
People get so mad when you point that out, that you water. They'll say, oh, I added, Tums. And, well, you got to add 80 Tums if you got a calcium deficiency. Well, it fixed the problem. I said, I'm assuming that regardless of whatever you shove down that hole of the tomato plant or put around it, you probably watered. They really get mad when you say you probably did water it, and that's really what's fixing the issue.
Right. So the next one is leaf spots. Leaf spots are a common issue amongst a lot of plants, but the most common one is early blight. And it's because there's good things and bad things in your soil. There's bacteria in your soil. There's also, microorganisms, whatever. So early blight is a result of the water splashing up onto the leaves of the plant, and then that blight is getting onto the plant, and it just becomes a growing, no pun intended, problem. So what you can do is you can use something that is an easy home remedy. And when you plant your tomato plants, you can, around the base of the plant, you just take a handful of yellow whole grain cornmeal. That's yellow whole grain cornmeal. And that has something in it called trichoderma, which is a beneficial fungi, and it helps prevent that early blight. Then you also want to mulch around the plant with whatever your favorite mulch is. And also you want to trim the bottom portion leaves of the plant and keep trimming them.
6 to 8 inches off the ground level, and any of the canopy that has the potential of soil splashing up on it. In addition to, that's why the mulch is there, to prevent or add a barrier. Corn smut. Let's look at corn smut, because this is if you're not familiar with what it is, it can just be disturbing to see it on your sweet corn.
It is. It's like this gray, weird fungus, but it's like...
looks like a giant, weird mushroom coming out of the ear of the corn.
Yeah, it's kind of fluffy looking. Yeah. And in some Mexican cultures, it is a delicacy. They fry it or boil it. So it is it's edible, I guess, if you know how to cook it. I don't know if you would eat it raw. But it's a fungus. So, and it's pretty common, but there's now disease-resistant varieties, and so there's a lot of disease-resistant varieties, and planting one of those, growing one of those is going to be the solution. Also, just making sure your corn is spaced apart properly, not jamming it too close to each other, because that does allow for fungus to grow. And
rotate your crops, because it can sit in the soil and overwinter. Some people will say it's also because if you have a high level of nitrogen in your soil, that can be an issue if you've over-fertilized in some issues, but that's not necessarily the correct answer for that. But if you had issues with your sweet corn, look up what corn smut is, MUT, and then you'll probably go, oh yeah, I had that. We got time for another one here.
So then we have, it's
number 4.
anthracnose. It's sunken dark spots that can be caused by all sorts of species. It's a fungal disease, and it affects crops like pepper, bean, tomato, eggplant, cucumber, muskmelon, melons, pumpkins, squashes, and peas. And what it is like these little sunken black spots.
Kind of the reverse of a blackhead.
Yeah. And it's like a dark brown. And this is something that also lives in your soil, so it's recommended to...
Oh, that's soil.
I know. To mulch. And if you have any of these diseases, when you clean out your garden, you want to toss those plants. You don't want to put them in the compost. You want to put them in
city pickup.
City pickup. You don't want to put them in your own compost. You want to put them in the trash. If you're afraid your trash person might see them, then put it in a black trash bag.
Yep. Hide
it, yeah. So, how to hide trash 101. Just kidding. So, anyway, that's for a different show. So you want, if you have the dark sunken spots, it's probably that. So mulch prevents a lot of problems. So just as always, we would highly recommend mulching.
Now, as much as you may or may not like technology, smartphones, if you're not familiar with this, some of you may or may not, you can go to your Google thing on your phone, and there's a camera, and you can take a picture of the actual item, and it will do a Google search and list what it appears it may be. You can also do that with items if you're trying to buy and see if there's a good deal or how much it's worth somewhere else of classic DVD or VHS. You can do that. So it's a really good piece of technology in which to get you in a general direction. It's not a fix-all. It's at least here's what it thinks it is, so you can start working down that, narrowing down what the disease or problem is in your garden. Exactly.
So with that being said, we are brought to you today by our sponsor, Walton's. We know you care about where your food comes from, canning, preserving, etc. At Walton's, they have everything you need to make any sort of meat product. You can find specials and sales online, and that's at waltonsinc.com. They also have meatgistics.com to help educate you on the hows and whys of meat processing, as well as a community of 15,000 users who will help give their opinion and guidance on meat processing issues. And they have decades of experience. So they have a full line of meat grinders, mixers, sausage stuffers, and more to help you go from animal to edible. Walton's everything but the meat. You can use code GROW50, that's GROW50, to save 10% off your order of $50 or more at waltonsinc.com.
When we return, how important is companion planting? You're tuned into the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
Azure Standard is America's premier family-owned online store for organic foods and healthy products for your home and garden. They deliver directly to families and commercial customers through over 3,500 drop points across all 50 states. Azure Standard strives to make grocery shopping easy, bringing all your needs to one convenient pickup location. As a trusted national health food distributor, Azure Standard offers bulk and specialty health foods to communities nationwide. With over 12,000 products, each one is approved and carefully sampled to ensure the highest quality. Azure Standard holds firm to non-GMO, organic, and natural standards. From food and beauty products to household items, nutritional supplements, animal care, hobby supplies, and even garden essentials, Azure Standard truly has everything for your daily living. Visit azurestandard.com, that's A-Z-U-R-E standard.com. Use promo code Joey and Holly 15 at checkout to get 15% off for new customers who open an account for the first time and place a minimum order of $100 or more, shipped to a drop location of your choice. That's code Joey and Holly 15 at azurestandard.com. Azure Standard is A-Z-U-R-E standard.com. Want bigger blooms and better yields? Without the hassle, Carricade makes gardening easy with eco-friendly, effective solutions. Rated 4.8 stars, trusted by growers like you. Shop Carricade.com and use the code RADIO10, that's Radio10, to save 10% off your order at Carricade.com.
Save your back. Easily and quickly remove trees and shrubs from your property with the Weed Wrench. Find it at weed-wrench.com. Made in the USA. Use coupon code WEED to save $10 off your Weed Wrench at weed-wrench.com.
Brome is home to the Squirrel Buster brand of truly squirrel-proof bird feeder. We have been designing and manufacturing wild bird feeders since 1998. When a squirrel lands on the Squirrel Buster, its weight automatically closes the seed ports, denying access to the seed, but not harming the squirrels. We design products that are simple enough for anyone to use. They're built to last a long time and are backed by our lifetime care to extend the life of our products. We offer expert customer service to help owners with any needed maintenance or repairs. Visit brome.com for more information.
Chip Drop is a website. You can sign up for free wood chip mulch delivery right to your door for free. Chip Drop connects homeowners and gardeners with tree services who are trying to get rid of their wood chips. You can also sign up to get free logs and firewood. Go to chipdrop.com to learn more and sign up for a free account.
Make watering easy. DripWorks provides quality drip irrigation supplies and equipment to gardeners just like you for all your growing needs across the U.S. and Canada. Purchase online at dripworks.com.
Jung Seed Company is a family-owned and operated gardening company since 1907 with the largest selection of seeds and plants online. Use coupon code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at jungseed.com. That coupon code is 15TG25 to save 15% off your order at jungseed.com.
Good garden tools make gardening easier. Wisconsin-made Cobra Head tools simplify weeding, cultivating, digging, and planting. Favorites of professional gardeners, Cobra Head tools are durable, ergonomic, and easy to work with. Visit cobrahead.com and use coupon code SOIL for 10% off your order. Roots and Rhizomes is a family-owned and operated gardening company specializing in daylilies, irises, and perennials. Use code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at rootsrhizomes.com. That's code 15TG25. Totally Tomato is a family-owned and operated gardening company with the largest selection of tomatoes online. Use code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at totallytomato.com. That's code 15TG25.
Have insects such as aphids or fungal gnats invaded your plants? Fight back with Summit Year-Round Spray Oil and Summit Mosquito Bits. Organic Summit Year-Round Spray Oil kills insect pests on indoor and outdoor plants. All natural mosquito bits kill fungal gnats larvae in container plants. Both products are harmless to people, plants, and wildlife. Summit Year-Round Spray Oil and Summit Mosquito Bit are available at garden centers, hardware stores, and at SummitResponsibleSolutions.com. Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Happy to have you around. Thank you for allowing us to be part of your day just for a little bit. Find out all those sponsors and retain those coupon codes that you've heard and hear throughout the program at our parent website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com, underneath the Money tab at the top of the page. Well, Holly, we hear a lot growing up, if you're in the gardening community, companionship plant, companion. We got to plant companion.
So companion planting, so I'll give you the definition from a university website, is the practice of growing certain plants together or near proximity for a mutual benefit, such as enhancing nutrients, pollination, and crop yield. Some successful companion planting principles have been passed on through generations, and some have been scientifically studied and proven. However, the majority of them lack any scientific proof that they work.
Okay.
So that's the answer.
And we've seen this because you can type in companion planting chart online. You get 14 charts and you get 17 different results of, this with this or this not with that. And that hates this and this love. It's all over the place and passed down. And in some realms, this is a fancy one and it looks good. Maybe we'll get some clicks type of thing.
Right. So there is, companion planting can be helpful.
Companion planting is different than polyculture.
Right. So anyway, I'm going to just talk about this.
Yeah.
Companion planting can be helpful to maximize garden space, maybe improve soil health, etc. But again, it's not backed by scientific data. However, planting early season crops and late season crops in the same bed can help tame weeds by providing cover for the soil throughout the growing season. So that is, I wouldn't even call that companion planting. I would call that intercropping. but
intercropping, the process of growing a fast crop in amongst a slower growing crop and having two different crops in the same general area of your garden at the same time.
Right. And then there's also something like using flowers or herbs to help deter or attract harmful or beneficial insects, so such as planting a variety of plants with different heights, leaf shapes. Those can confuse insects.
Herbs around squash or zucchini to defer or mess up the scent glands or the picker-uppers for the squash vine borer.
So companion planting like that makes sense, and it's scientific.
But it's not really companion planting, is
yes,
it?
Yes, it is.
Is it?
Yes, that's what it is. It's not something where, like...
We've gotten messed up with that term.
Right. It's not something where it's like, if you plant basil next to your tomatoes...
It'll make it sweeter.
It'll make it sweeter.
Yeah.
That's not proven.
That's wrong.
It's not companion planting. However, I think some people do confuse companion planting with intercropping or polyculture gardening. And intercropping and polyculture gardening are very similar. Basically, you are making best use of your garden beds.
So would a Three Sisters garden, would that be a form of companion planting?
It would be more of an intercropping.
Okay.
Or a polyculture. It's basically a plant is helping another plant, but not because of its benefits, but because of something like the Three Sisters, which is a good example, because you are growing the squash as a ground cover. The beans can grow up the corn stalk.
As the pole.
Yeah, as the pole. So it's like, that's a sort of polyculture. And then intercropping, we can give some examples of this. But so that's kind of the difference. So polyculture is like, these plants are helping each other, but they're not helping each other scientifically. They're helping each other physically, basically.
But whenever you see the term, you read online, you read some of these blogs, if you plant this next to this, it has the potential of detouring or shying away or hiding or preventing certain bugs from eating X plant.
I think that...
But whenever you hear it say, if you plant this next to this, it will make this plant sweeter or this plant grow better, in that realm, that's not right.
Right. And I think at times companion planting has become a blanket term for other things, but then it's still associated with the non-scientific data. So, for example, it's like when people say Kleenex versus tissue.
Kleenex is a copyright brand, and tissue is the actual item.
Or, I don't know.
Jet ski is another one.
Jet ski.
Kawasaki owns that name, but it's an industry. Everybody says, "Oh, it's a jet ski." It's a personal watercraft, is what it is. Something of that realm in the legal terms.
Yeah. So it's like that, where there's not. It's companion planting has become branded, and it's also
marketing
tool, but it's not what everybody thinks it is. So
if it's one of these things like this is it's kind of the thing whenever you buy seeds. Oh, a rare multicolor fill in the blank, 20 seeds left. It's just as fake can be, because if the big seed companies don't have it, it doesn't exist. Not some person online in fill-in-the-blank country happens to have 20 of these seeds and selling them on Amazon for $4 for 20 seeds. Doesn't exist. It's called a money grab. It's called marketing. If it's too good to be true, we have the technology now. The internet's now on computers, and you can look up, does this make sense? Is this? And you're going to find things that agree with you, because there's multiple blogs where somebody has written a blog and then 400 other people have copied basically almost word for word what that blog is in order to get clicks on their side. You got to dig through and find out, University Extension, reputable person. Where is it at? And usually those don't get the clicks or the publicity because they're smothered out by everybody else that's saying, oh, no, that's wrong. You can do that. This will be beneficial. And it's not true.
Right. Does it ever stop? So anyway, some more examples of, I'm going to rebrand it and call it helpful gardening. Helpful gardening. So like
HG.
Would be like polyculture, the intercropping, etc.
Now, is polyculture only when two plants are involved, or can there be multiple plants, and that's just kind of a general term for when multiple plants help each other? Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, there's like radishes. So like you can kind of think of like maybe taller plants or longer growing plants, and then smaller or shorter growing plants. You can kind of think of it.
But they have to be fast and slow.
They don't have to be, but it might be smart to
in the instance of garlic and radishes take 28 days, 32 days. Garlic can take, if you plant your radishes in the spring, garlic can take another 3 months before it's ready to harvest, and then starts to create a canopy that shades over where those radishes once was growing, but because of their quick turnaround, they're out of the ground.
Right. So we have radishes amongst garlic, as Joey had mentioned, and so the thought there is the 28 days. And then we talked about Three Sisters, which is very helpful. And there's a lot of different variations on Three Sisters, so you could maybe find one that is fun for you. Lettuce with the tomatoes. So you would plant your lettuce first, but then you would put your tomatoes in while the lettuce is still growing.
While you're harvesting the lettuce, because lettuce is a cool weather crop, and you're typically putting your tomatoes in when the weather has broken, no longer frost. So it's kind of at the end, but you're still maximizing the space for both items. Within a few weeks, your lettuce is going to go to seed, or you're going to pull it up anyway, but you're accessing all the areas that you have available.
Right. And then also, and I think that's where the polyculture part comes in instead of just intercropping, because you're coming back with something else to fill in that space.
Similar to the square foot gardening.
Right. Just like if you were to take your garlic out and plant something behind it, maybe some...
We'll do potatoes.
Potatoes, yeah.
Or real late, quick growing tomatoes.
Right. So that's another concept there, another idea. Radishes with spinach is another one.
Because of the leaf miners, the concept is the leaf miners, which eats the leaves, will attack the radish leaves and leave your spinach crisp and untouched, so it can be edible and you can eat it.
Right. So
Swiss chard is another one that the leaf miners will go after, so you can kind of work around that as well with a trap plant is what they call it.
Yes. And yeah, so those are some examples there. And I think ultimately a lot of people just want to save space and grow things that will grow together well and that they will have success. So I think another one that people overlook is that they don't realize is very helpful is trellising items and making sure they're off the ground, especially if you don't have a lot of space.
Cucumbers, for example. A cucumber plant, if let sprawled, which that's what we did on the farm, we didn't trellis anything but peas, a cucumber plant can take 20 to 30 square feet. You put that vertically, and you can maximize that on a vertical aspect. You can still, let's say, instead of 20 or 30 feet, you're utilizing 8 to 12 feet. You've got a lot more places in the ground that you can plant, and it's easier to harvest. You're not missing one and it turns into a giant football and turns yellow and the plant shuts down because the seed production is complete. Also, it's easier for pollinators to get a hold of those flowers. Easier to see diseases because it's elevated. You can look up instead of laying down. Nobody lays down in the garden and goes, well, okay, what's underneath that leaf? It doesn't happen.
I think some people do.
I don't know. Good for them. But yeah. That's the thing.
Yeah. So if you're looking to save space and you're like, oh, this seems smart, you can consider other things like trellising. You can consider, and other things you can trellis besides peas and cucumbers are...
Well, pole beans you have to.
Yeah.
You can do some small squashes.
Yeah.
Acorn squash, small watermelons. I've seen small watermelons being trellised. People trellis zucchini. That is a thing. You can do that. So there is some benefits to that. Tomatoes technically are trellised.
Right. Or you can purchase small space plants.
Yep.
Like the Tiny Tim and Tiny Tom,
tomatoes and peas.
Right. And then also, like the bush beans. If you don't want to trellis, you could grow bush beans. So there are options to save space and to also make use of the best space of your garden. And then even if you already do all these things, you can add, different containers, get creative with that. There's a lot of options.
And the problem with some of us northern gardeners is it's to a point in the season where it's just broke and there's no more frost because it was 14 degrees yesterday. Tomorrow, we're all done with cold weather, so it's time to dump everything in the garden all at once. There is no spring crop, and it's spring, summer all together. So that is a challenge for some of the northern gardeners as well.
Right. Yeah. So you want to just think about these things and be smart. And also, if it seems too good to be true on the internet, it probably is.
Soon it will be warming up, Holly. We are almost there. And you will want to protect your yard from those beetles and grubs.
Yeah, with spring, is here, and people will be reminding you about those Japanese beetles. I actually just was at a work thing, and my coworker who also gardens said something to me about how she's not looking forward to the pests of the garden. And that's a lot of talk, about the Japanese beetles.
Well, you can get Grub Gone. It can be applied to your turf, garden, or around your ornamentals to control and lessen the impact those beetles have on your yard this summer. Easy to apply, use with a commercial spreader, irrigate right into the soil. It is specifically designed to target grub and beetle invaders without harming those beneficial insects such as bees, butterflies, and ladybugs.
And it is the only non-chemical that works. You can find out more at phyllumbioproducts.com. That's PHYLLOM bioproducts.com.
When we return, author Matt Mattus will be with us. You're tuned in to the Garden with Joey and Holly radio show.
Have a garden question? Give Joey and Holly a call now or anytime 24/7. Just dial 1-800-927-SHOW. If you can't get through, leave a message and they will call you back. Call now 1-800-927-SHOW.
4-Jar Canning Supply, your one-stop shop for all your canning needs, where old ways meet new in every jar. They are a family with decades of home canning experience, offering top-quality products and outstanding service. Never run out of canning lids again. Whether you're a seasoned canner or just starting out, their extensive range of canning products will elevate your canning game. 4jars.com. Inspired by the homemade preserves of our childhoods, they want to share that same joy with you. They deeply care about your family's health and understand the importance of homemade, nutritious meals. That's why they offer high-quality products to help you preserve your food. Quality canning lids, pressure canners, vacuum seal machines, and all the tools you need to get the job done. 4Jars has you covered. Our canning lids provide the perfect airtight seal for any regular, wide, or gym-sized jar. With the thickest lids on the market, they provide long-lasting freshness up to 18 months and are rust-resistant, ensuring your preserves stay secure. Use code 4JARS25 to save 10% off your order at 4jars.com. That's FORJARS25 to save 10% off your order at 4jars, FORJARS.com. Hey listeners, we're excited to introduce to you Sun Warrior. They are well known for protein powders and supplements, and that they are 100% clean, plant-based, non-GMO, soy-free, gluten-free, dairy-free, and without filler. Since you are into gardening and things that come from the earth, we thought you would appreciate that they offer high-quality, plant-based ingredients that come from our Mother Earth and that your body is craving. They've made a special code for you for 25% off your order. At checkout, enter Joey Holly 25 and save 25% on your order at sunwarrior.com. That coupon code JOEYHOLLY 25 to save 25% off your order at sunwarrior.com. Watering is the key to a healthy garden, but it can take up a lot of your time. Water less with Soil Moist. Grow beautiful plants with less water. Soil Moist polymers reduce your plant's watering by 50%, reduce transplant shock and soil compaction, and are effective in your soil for 3 to 5 years. It is an effective watering management aid that is ideal for internal and external plantings, such as trees, shrubs, containers, baskets, flower beds, vegetables, and turf. Soil Moist acts as a form of insurance for your plants and is environmentally friendly. It is easy to apply at the time of planting or transplanting. Spend more time doing what you enjoy and let Soil Moist work smarter for you. Bolster your plant's nutrient and water uptake with Soil Moist. Enhance microbial and plant growth. No need to spend extra time worrying about watering your plants. Easy to follow instructions right on the label. To find where to purchase and to see all their products, contact your local garden center or visit soilmoist.com.
Wind River chimes will always be the inspiring harmony. With a large selection and customization options, you will find the sound that soothes you. Visit windriverchimes.com to shop and find out more.
Get higher yields with durable green bed raised garden bed kits designed to be drainable, breathable, pest resistant, and long-lasting. DurableGreenBed.com. Abundance guaranteed.
David J. Frank, Southeastern Wisconsin's leading landscape company, is a landscaper you need. Their award-winning services include everything from lawn care, landscape maintenance, design, construction, renovation, irrigation, sustainability, and more. Big or small, let the experts at David J. Frank handle the hard work for you. Find out more at davidjfrank.com.
Do you have pets trying to leave your fenced area or pests trying to enter your fenced area or garden? Dig Defense provides peace of mind that your pets are contained safely and humanely in your yard, and other animals or pests stay out. With several sizes to pick from, Dig Defense is the easy, safe way to extend the protection of your fence, protecting your pets and your property. Find out more at stopthedig.com. Tree Ivy Root Development System, the quickest way to get new trees on their feet. TreeIvy.com.
R.H. Shumway is a family-owned and operated gardening company with a large selection of seeds and plants online. You can use code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at rhshumway.com. That's code 15TG25.
Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Miss any of those sponsors, you can find them at our parent website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com. Holly, let's go to the hotline and bring in our guest for this week.
Matt Mattus is a gardener, blogger, lecturer, and author with a lifelong passion for horticulture. He is also the Senior Director of Horticulture for the American Horticultural Society in Washington, D.C. Welcome to the program, Matt.
Thanks, Holly. I'm joy to be on here again.
Well, we spoke about in the intro there, a lifelong passion for gardening. Where did that originate? Was it a grandparent, was it a parent, or did you find it as a child and was like, hey, this is kind of cool?
I am definitely one of those garden nerds who, at my earliest memory, I was a gardener. But my parents were gardeners, and they are old stock. My parents had me in their 50s, and this was in the 1960s. And I never knew my grandparents, but I live in the house that my grandparents built. So there are 3 or 4 generations of gardeners who lived here. So I was certainly brought up with gardening all around me. I could not avoid it.
Well, and that was a time, and we're much younger than that, where gardening was it was a must. It wasn't kind of a hobby for people who, for everybody. It was kind of, you had to garden in order to supplement some of your nutrition.
Absolutely. We still have a storeroom in the cellar, kind of with a cork door, where we kept all the canned goods, because they were Depression era parents. So
didn't throw anything away. Everything had a purpose. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and hundreds of jars of canned goods. So I came from that world. I feel like I missed 2 generations.
That's very interesting. So with the American Cultural Society, you released a new book recently, American Horticultural Society, Essential Guide to Organic Vegetable Gardening. Tell us more about that book, maybe what our listeners could learn from it, something to pique their interest to pick up a copy.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a wonderful book, and like 250 pages with just about every vegetable you can imagine featured in it. And what's great about it is it's written for you could be a beginner gardener, or you could be a expert, and you're still going to grab something out of it that's useful. You could be an organic gardener, you could be a conventional gardener, and it sort of covers everything from what to use for a mulch, and if you don't want to mulch, what else can you do? So it's very useful. It's a very useful book from that perspective.
Well, I want to go back to your growing up. Is there something that was in your parents' garden that just doesn't exist anymore, that you don't see anymore, or that you are trying to grow that you just can't figure out how they did it?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I mean, and they were, my parents were Lithuanian, my grandparents were. So we grew up with, horseradish and cabbages and parsnips and things like that. So there were, these are vegetables we can certainly buy now at a fancy supermarket, but not something most people grow in their vegetable garden, right? And we certainly grew our share of string beans and tomatoes and the staples, potatoes. But I always struggled trying to grow horseradish. I still do. I've kind of mastered growing parsnips. And it's funny how I learned how. I sort of watched YouTube videos of, it's mostly men in the United Kingdom who compete trying to grow the largest vegetables. And you may see them at Chelsea or something, and there are clubs for that. But they will often outline how they grow giant carrots. We don't need to have 9-foot long carrots, but what they do with parsnips is, they dig a hole, they use a pipe and they make a hole in the ground, they fill the hole up with sand, and then they start a parsnip in a root trainer, like you would start a deep pot, like you would a sweet pea plant. And, that's always what you're told not to do, is take a carrot, for instance, and transplant it. But with parsnips, they transplant carefully that very long, thin taproot into the sand. And I did that for a book I wrote, and I had remarkable parsnips. It's a lot of work. I don't do it all the time, but it does work. I have to say that.
Yeah, it's fascinating over there what they will do in order to get a blue ribbon and a picture for worldwide fame. But that is very interesting how they plant those carrots and those root crops. And yes, you can buy them at the grocery store, but they have nothing compared. The flavor is nothing compared to what you grew up with, or you can get in your own backyard.
Exactly, and same thing for most root vegetables, I think, especially the carrots.
So, aside from making horseradish sauce, what else do you do with horseradish?
Well, we just grate it. And you can use it fresh grated, or you can basically you're pickling it when you prepare it. Like when you buy prepared horseradish, it's simply grated. And, I came from that older generation, it seems, where my father was grating it on like a potato grater in the backyard, and we were all crying.
Because the flavor doesn't emit it until it's oxidized, till the oxygen hits it, right? You can just eat it like a carrot, and it doesn't have that intensity. Am I correct on that?
Correct, yeah, and actually it gets stronger once you put vinegar on it. But the trick, I guess, with it was it has some mustard gas in it that's actually released. So that's what causes your eyes to go. Like same thing with onions, so it's similar to that. But nowadays you could just make it so easily. Like the best comes from Hungary, right? The best still comes from Eastern Europe. But you can grate it, instead of grating it by hand the old way, you can just do it in a food processor, and then it's done in 2 minutes.
But then you won't be traumatized and have lifelong memories.
You're traumatized when you take the lid off, believe me.
So the opposite of growing parsnips and horseradish, is there a commonly grown vegetable you had trouble growing, but was able, after learning more, to try different techniques? And what is it, and what helped you?
Oh, good question. I'd say onions. Something you think is so simple, like onions. Even parsley can be tricky, because now a lot of gardens tend to sell parsley and it's a little too big. And it will bolt, in the summer, because it's a Mediterranean vegetable and doesn't want to be exposed to cold until later in the season. But onions are something that are so tricky. We grew up growing them from onion sets, which is fine for onion, for the greens and the tops. But I could never grow really big, nice onions until I started reading on. There are websites that the commercial growers use, the commercial onion growers. I forget there's like a commercial onion grower society, but they go into detail about, the immense amount of fertilizer they have to use to grow onions. They're really high in nutrient, with nitrogen. They put in 30% nitrogen and urea on either side, and they trench it below. And I'm certainly not going to do that, but I started using horse manure and organic fertilizer, and realizing that that's what onions need. Because like leeks, right? Leeks are a bulb, but you don't think they're a bulb because it's a leaf sheath that comes down. Onions are the same way. Those are, the leaf scales basically that form the onion. So they need a lot of nitrogen, and people, I think, treat them like bulbs, thinking they might want high phosphorus or high potassium, but it's really, you almost can't give them enough nitrogen. So we have chickens, we have rabbits, we have every kind of manure I can lay in through the winter into the vegetable garden. And when I put onions in, it's a lot of water, sandy, rich soil, and as much nitrogen as you can give them. And that's how you get big onions, no stress. Otherwise, they're too hot to eat. You pick 2-inch, you're harvesting 2-inch onions that are so spicy hot.
Yeah. If somebody wants to grow high yield vegetables in a small space, what would you say is your top 3 choices?
I would say, well, obviously anything that's a green, right? So microgreens or mesclun or even lettuce, just I always be conscious in how you plant it. If you buy 2 6-packs of lettuce, that's 12 plants. Know that they're all going to be harvested at the same time. And what are you going to do with 12 heads of lettuce? Right. So either time that out, but, you get a lot per square foot that way. I think pole beans, if you can, if you're not growing in containers, if you're growing in the garden, the pole beans are really, you get a lot per square foot. If you're growing up upon teepees versus, rows of beans.
Right.
And chili peppers too. Like you think of the small chili peppers in pots. So you can you easily can get, 50 peppers on a shishito plant, or even the smaller hot peppers if you like hot peppers. And they're beautiful plants as well.
Definitely. So switching gears here, many vegetable gardeners do grow a limited amount of flowers. Some grow many, but why would you encourage them to grow more flowers or adding any flowers? Is there anything that you think veggie gardeners could really appreciate or grow with ease, and maybe some words of encouragement to grow more flowers?
Oh, sure. You know what I think of vegetable gardens, and a lot of the old-time gardeners will say this. I know younger gardeners like to do companion planting or trying to plant, let's say, marigolds or zinnias and as a cut flower garden, which is a great idea to put a few rows of cut flowers into your garden. But more senior gardeners knew that, that's where you grew. You didn't grow delphiniums in the border. You grow them in the vegetable garden. That's what they want. Open air. They do better with space around them. Dahlias, they're really designed to be grown in vegetable gardens, as a row out back. That's, until they were cool again a few years ago, everyone kind of secretly kept their dahlias way in past the potatoes, right? Garden clubs would laugh at me when I would show a slide of a dahlia thinking they were so gaudy. But those are flowers that really do better in that open space of a vegetable garden when you can throw in a big 2x4 stake and tie them up. And delphiniums are the same way. They don't like any plants around them. They have feeder roots and they have anchor roots, and the feeder roots go beyond the foliage. And if they're in a border, they're getting irrigated. They don't like to be irrigated. They they have like a rain shadow that's formed by their leaves. They really grow more like rhubarb. They're better grown out with a lot of space around them. So those are the kind of flowers I grow in the vegetable garden. You certainly can plant in your zinnias and marigolds and asters around. But I like to grow the things I can't grow in the flower border that well.
Absolutely. Well, Matt, we greatly appreciate the time you've offered us and the knowledge. How can people find out more about you, find out your books, and where are you at on the World Wide Web?
Well, I do have a blog, but I haven't been posting to it that much, but it certainly goes back about 15 years. So there's a lot of content on there if you use the search feature. So that's growingwithplants.com. And I am mostly on Instagram for Matt_Mattus. So that's probably the easiest place to find me.
All right. Well, Matt, we thank you so much for your time, and we appreciate the information, not only educating Holly, myself, and all of our listeners. We thank you again for that.
Great. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Joey. Thanks, Holly.
Absolutely. And when we return, it's going to be your garden questions and our garden answers. You're tuned into the Garden with Joey and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
Garden like a pro in 3 easy steps and receive customized fertilizer recommendations for your garden or lawn. Soil Savvy helps you determine what nutrients your plants need to thrive. Never again over-apply nutrients they don't need. A patented process that makes you a smart gardener. To get your soil test kit, go to mysoilsavvy.com.
Vermont Bean Company is a family-owned and operated gardening company with the largest selection of seeds online. Use coupon code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at vermontbean.com. That coupon code is 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at vermontbean.com. Edmonds Roses is a family-owned and operated rose company with the largest selection of roses online. Use coupon code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at edmondroses.com. That coupon code is 15TG25 to save 15% off your order at edmondsroses.com.
My garden hasn't looked this good in a decade. That's what gardeners are saying about Carricade. No extra fertilizers, no harsh sprays, just thriving plants and massive blooms. Rated 4.8 stars. Shop Carricade.com and use the code RADIO10, that's Radio10, to save 10% off your order at Carricade.com.
Check out ivorganics.com. It's America's leading garden product YouTube channel. IV Organic products are innovative, organic, effective, and proudly USA made to help you achieve your best growing season. Use coupon code RADIO10 at checkout and save 10% on your entire order at ivorganics.com. That coupon code again is RADIO10 to save 10% on your order at ivorganics.com.
A non-selective herbicide that is also USDA BioPreferred certified? You bet. Say goodbye to Roundup and hello to No More Weeds by Naturally Green Products. No More Weeds kills weeds with no harsh chemicals and no glyphosate. Safe around pets, No More Weeds has a proprietary sticking agent to use around gardens, pools, decks, patios, anywhere there are weeds. Available online at natgreenproducts.com, Amazon, and Walmart.com. Order yours today. The same great company that brings you no more bugs.
If you could double the life of your raised bed boxes by sealing the wood with a clear, non-toxic wood preservative, would you? Well, now you can with a clear, penetrating product called Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's 100% non-toxic and easy to apply. Seal your untreated wood surfaces, even chicken coops, by spraying on Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's invisible, seals the wood from the inside out, and never wears off. Recommended by organic gardening experts. Internal Wood Stabilizer. Check it out at timberprocoatingsusa.com.
Wondering if your soil is ready for a successful spring planting season? At Grow Smarts, we make it easy to find out. With our at-home soil test kits, you can pinpoint exactly what your garden or lawn needs to thrive. Simply order online and we'll ship a test kit right to your door with everything you need, including a prepaid shipping label to send the item back. In just 2 business days, you'll receive clear, concise lab results highlighting your soil's pH levels and nutrient needs. Plus, our customized recommendations will guide you on the perfect fertilizers and amendments to use. No more guesswork, just healthier plants, vibrant flowers, and bountiful harvests. Right now, you can save 10% on your order with the code RADIO at growsmart.com. That's GROSMART.com with code RADIO. It's time to kick off your spring garden with confidence. Make the most of your soil and watch your garden flourish. Because when you grow smarter, your garden flourishes.
Mantis garden tiller cultivators are the perfect solution for any garden. With their gas-powered 2-cycle or 4-cycle engine, these powerful machines can till 9 or 16 inches of land without you breaking a sweat. And it doesn't stop there. Mantis's optional attachments allow you to aerate, plow, and more with the snap of a finger. Engineered with durability in mind, Mantis tiller cultivators will be your guaranteed garden companion for a long time. You can find more out and details at mantis.com.
Pomona's Universal Pectin is a high-quality pectin that gels reliably with low amounts of any sweetener. If you're trying to reduce the amount of sugar in your diet, you'll love Pomona's Universal Pectin. Now you can make healthy homemade jams and jellies sweetened to your taste. You can use sugar or honey to sweeten. Pomona's Universal Pectin keeps indefinitely when stored in an airtight container. Easy to use, versatile, and comes with directions and recipes in every box. Find out more and where to buy at PomonaPectin.com. Also available at natural food stores and online.
Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Check out those sponsors at our parent website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com. Under the Season 9 tab and the Money tab for coupon code availability. Time for your garden questions at Our Garden Answers. You got a question, send it on over to gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Or you can give us a ring-a-ding-ding on your mobile device, toll-free, coast-to-coast at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469.
I have 4 raised beds that I only grow tomatoes in. This is the 3rd year of use. Are there any suggestions for anything to mix in the soil to help them? They originally were filled with bags of raised bed soil.
Compost.
Yeah.
There's the old wise tale. I guess I don't know if it's a wise tale. We've grown tomatoes in the same spot for a number of years. The issue that you may have is if you start to develop a disease or a fungal disease in that particular area, and that's why you want to rotate your crops. If you bring in, you put bag soil there. Let's say the beds are 8 inches tall. At some point, the beds are probably about 4 inches because it settles and it works in the soil. Bring in and top dress that with compost, 100% compost, nothing wrong with it, and you'll be fine. just pay attention to your plants, make sure they have plenty of nutrients. And if you are beginning to see on a repetitive basis that this certain disease continues to happen, there's probably something in the soil that you need to get them out and move them to a different place. But there's really nothing wrong with planting tomatoes in the same bed as long as you feed the soil for the plants to have something to live off of.
Yeah, I agree. Adding compost would be good. You could add some sort of fertilizer, an organic tomato fertilizer type of thing.
Which I think we do regardless of how healthy our soil is. We always add a fertilizer.
Yeah.
An organic that's under a 10-10-10.
And I would do it. I would do that personally, because especially in raised beds, their nutrients can deplete a little bit.
And there's a certain level of leaching out.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I would definitely add at this point, I would add something.
All right.
Yeah.
I have some bulbing onions, but I'm not sure what kind. I see some flowers starting to form. Do I remove them? If it matters, I'm in zone 8. What should I do? So zone 8 would be a southern. They've grown this is a southern area. They're growing winter onions.
Flowering?
The onions are flowering. They're going to seed.
Okay. So, that's normal for them to flower because onions are biannual.
If they've planted the bulblets in the late fall and now they're wanting to harvest, you can harvest your bulb. Your bulb is going to have a green stalk going through it because it's going into a seed production rather than a growth cycle. And this is wherever you're at growing onions. If you go to the store and you buy the little bulb onions and you plant them, 90% of the time you're going to get onions that are going to go to seed because they're biannual. They're going to you're going to plant them and they're going to think that they're in their second year of growth and they're going to put a seed pod on. It's going to reduce the bulb size and it's going to shorten the shelf life because that green stalk is going through the bulb. Just harvest them. You're not going to get any more. You're actually going to get smaller bulbs because the energy is going to be sucked from the bulb and put into seed production. So that's why we encourage you to start it from seed, from the starts, or the live plants, or you can go to your local independent garden center, which will have the right variety of onions for your geographical area, and they'll be like a bundle of 50 for like $4. And plant them if you have issues with starting, or you're not able to start seeds from indoors. And transplant them out. Also, if you have difficulty growing onions and you don't want to fuss with that, grow leeks. Leeks work very, very well for us, and we can grow them after we've learned how to grow the onions, bigger than broom handles. We've had some that's almost 2 inches across. And the leeks can be consumed. The whole thing can be eaten, not just the white portion like many people think.
I like leeks. So
and we grow American flag leeks, which is a very good heirloom. There's other ones that there, but if you're having difficulty growing onions, it could be the way like this person has started with the onion bulb, the little bulblet, or you're growing a long day and a short day, or a short day and a long day, or a neutral. And if you're not even familiar with what that terminology is, look it up. What type of onions grow best in northern climate, southern climate, central United States, and it will give you a chart, and then that will guide you in the type of onions in which you should be growing, because nobody teaches you this on the internet or in classes. And it used to be that the stores would sell all 3 varieties, short day, long day, neutral day, in a big basket, and you just, whatever you want. And now they have started labeling long day, short day, neutral day. So be aware of what you're growing and how you're growing it. Can I use seeds shown as a sale date that is past or expired?
You can. So unlike packaged food, seeds don't have an expiration date. It's just like a federal seed act requires the seed packets to have it packed for a year. And typically what happens is, so that shows how old the seeds are.
And they have to be sold that calendar, or by the end of that calendar year because of the government. Blah,
blah, blah.
Add your, whatever to that.
So anyway, seeds lose about 10% viability germination rate every year. So if you bought seeds this year, the next year, if you planted 10 seeds, 1 might not sprout. And then next year after that, if you planted 10 seeds, 2 might not sprout.
Well, example, we had celery seeds from 2013. None of them came up.
Right. Well, and also the larger the seed, the more likely it is to germinate.
Correct.
Because it has more earth, meat, I don't know, whatever to it.
Material inside
of it. Yeah. And all seeds have a seed coat, and then they have the inner part. So even if it's super, super tiny, they still have a seed coat in the inner part. So that could be why.
Well, Holly, we are out of time, and we certainly thank you for yours. Miss any portion of the program today or would like to revisit it, you can certainly do that by going to our parent website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com, underneath the Season 9 tab at the top of the page, or your favorite podcast platform, and searching the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Tune into the program next week, where we will be discussing better container gardening, as well as shade-tolerant and soggy-tolerant plants. Our guest is author Maria Rodell will be with us, and will answer your garden questions. So until next week, for
Holly Baird,
I'm Joy Baird, and we will see you in the garden.